First things first, Alabama State Bar Rules of Professional Conduct, Rule 7.2e requires the following language in all attorney communications. No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers. My name is Harry Steele, backwoods Southern lawyer. My buddy Paul Rip is here with me today from the Rip Report. How you doing, Paul?
Real good, real good.
And Raines apparently is scavenging for supplies in Houston, Texas. They're under a mandatory stay-at-home order. Is my understanding. Is that what you know about it?
That's what I've heard. And I've heard one state after another, one city after another is following suit almost right away.
So we've been getting ready for this for about 4 weeks. How about you, Paul?
Definitely. I want people to remember you can catch us on Facebook, The Rip Report, Baldwin County Legal Eagle on Facebook. And then, of course, we have theripreport.com. You can go on that site, go all the way back to 2016 and read articles forward from there. But you're right. We have been pretty consumed with this virus for sure.
Okay, so I'm going to try to share something with you here for a second, okay?
All right.
This is the governor just ordered us to go into let me see if I can find it here. I got too much stuff open, Paul. The governor just ordered that all essential businesses, venues, and activities are to be closed to non-employees are taking place. Here are the business activities: entertainment venues, nightclubs, bowling alleys, arcades, concert venues, theaters, auditoriums, performing arts. Anyway, you can read it faster than I can say it. Athletic facilities, non-essential close contact service establishments such as barbershops, waxing salons, body art facilities, tattoo services, tanning salons, massage therapy. And then their non-essential retail stores are closed. So, and she did say this was an exhaustive list. And if it wasn't on the list, then chances are it does not apply to your business. Is that you understand it, Paul?
Right.
All right. So, so the governor has finally come around, and all of our non-essential businesses are closed as they should have been for quite some time, in my opinion. Alabama now has 540 cases, up from 81 cases in podcast 28, Paul. So just like a few days ago, we went from 81 to 540.
You have that. Go ahead.
Only 4,755 people have been tested in Alabama, as opposed to New York State, where they have administered 150,000 tests. So do you feel like the stepchild yet?
Definitely, because the key behind this whole thing is testing.
All right. So of the 86,012 cases in the United States today, that's up from 13,000 cases from the last podcast. You see how this thing's rolling?
Right. I hope people are listening to these figures.
So 23,000 are in New York City, with 365 people having died from it already.
That ought to be getting your attention.
So, yeah, it's one of the most densely populated places on the planet. And when you have a pandemic breakout like this, what can you do?
Yeah, but Chicago, California, Michigan, all of them, Louisiana, they're all hot spots.
Oh, yeah. So, so San Francisco's under shelter in place. New York, told to do the same. That was the last broadcast. Texas and Louisiana, and now just 30 minutes ago, I think it was Alabama, right? What that was that was at 12 o'clock, and it's just past 1 or right about 1 now. So, so let's talk about what we know for a second, Paul. The federal response. So there are 3 phases to the federal response so far. March 5th was phase 1. They approved $8.5 billion for vaccines and R&D, and I'm talking federally, okay? Phase 2 on March 18th, they approved $105 billion for free testing, paid sick leave, and unemployment insurance purposes. And I believe phase 3, the $2 trillion direct payment, small business relief, healthcare support, protective gear, ventilators, all that kind of stuff, comes to $2 trillion. And that's passed the Senate. And did the House pass that this morning? Or I know there was some rigmarole about whether or not they were going to make them all come in and vote, or if they were going to roll call it, or I'm not sure if that's happened yet, but I'm sure it will happen in the next few days. But the fact that they're playing around, stymieing this thing by attaching things like money for Planned Parenthood. I mean, I get what the red hats are pissed about, because I'm pissed about it too. I mean, how do you feel about an endowment for the performing arts being attached to this thing? I think it's a bunch of bull, and I don't think there ought to be anything in this bill except for relief to these to any business that qualifies, not specific payments for pet projects.
I think they knock most of that out, bickering between themselves, but that's typical of the swamp for sure.
Okay, so are you ready to? And I don't want to fearmonger, Paul. I just want people to understand what's going on so they'll take this seriously. So statewide in Alabama, there are 1,300 ventilators. 546 of them are being used right now just because that's how many people in Alabama need to be on a ventilator right now. That leaves 800 in the whole state for coronavirus recovery. And you understand what they do. If you get pneumonia from this, they trach you, they put you on a ventilator, and then they put you into a drug-induced coma, turn you over on your stomach so that all that stuff can drain out of you while you're recovering. Anyway, it's not a pretty thing, and it's not anything anybody wants to go through. The state, okay, so while they want, so we know how many beds we got, we know what the capacity is. The state of Alabama is not telling the public what our hospital occupancy is or will be in the future. Now, do you think that's transparent, Paul?
It's not transparent, and it's going to become more than apparent within the next, I think, 2 to 3 weeks are going to be critical for the state of Alabama, because we've been typically 8 to 10, almost 12 weeks behind this thing. So, and we yet have any mass testing. It is good to hear that UAB, which I think is one of the best facilities in the country, has picked up 2 or 3 studies on this and is working very hard on it.
Okay, so I want to announce the Backstory Podcast X Prize. Are you down?
Oh, well, what?
Okay, well, here's the question. Are you a nerd at home with nothing to do? Do you want to get laid by beautiful women and never buy a drink again? Call up your buddies from middle school that you used to build robot battle robots with, and design us a 3D printable rudimentary ventilator. It just has to work, and the only electronic components you can use are common items such as the fan from a PC, a hairdryer. I don't know. I'm not mechanically inclined like that, but I do think it's a good idea. We'll also, so the X Prize, we're not promising cash, but we will nominate you and your team for the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And this is all in response to Trump's inaction under the Stafford Act. He could order GM to stop building cars and start building ventilators.
And what do you think is one of the main drives behind him not doing that?
So it's the same reason Herb Malone and some of the other business interest people were standing in our EMA last Wednesday. You could look at it as they're there to show support that we're all coming together, or you could look at it as he's the guy standing in the corner with the shotgun, reminding everybody that billions and billions of dollars come to the state of Alabama through the tourism industry. So I think you could. So my answer is, I've heard the U.S. Chamber, and I think that's a good suspect.
And that's exactly what I heard, was the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is the one that has got Trump's ear, and right now he's refusing to act on it because they want manufacturers that are existing to be able to do all the work and not open it up, which is ludicrous. But we'll see what happens.
Oh, and just in addition to the X Prize, Rains has, if we can't find any willing ladies, Rains is willing to rent you 5 for the first hour.
Yeah. Okay.
So here in Baldwin County, Zach Hood is our EMA director. Sherry Lee Bloodsworth Botop, that's a mouthful, is one of the assistants. And I've been speaking with them. So, Paul, do you know what kind of an order we're under? Have I shared that with you?
I know it's an emergency order, and I know most emergency orders that they are around here really pay attention to tornadoes and hurricanes. I don't believe they're at all prepared for what we're involved in now.
Yeah, so I shared it on the Backstory Podcast Facebook page. The county's emergency management plan. So go take a look at that. We're actually under the Baldwin EMA is taking their direction from the health department, which is exactly what the federal response says we're supposed to do in this kind of situation. Okay. Have you been watching Governor Cuomo's little news conferences in New York, Paul? Well, I really like
I've
them.
seen a
And
couple
one
of
of the
them, yes.
things that one of the things that I shared, and it's on AL.com, it says last resort, Alabama's plan for deciding which corona patients get ventilators. And Alabama, so that's one of the things that the governor in New York, Governor Cuomo, was wrestling with, is how do we decide who gets ventilators? Well, Alabama on March 24th has put out their triage codes, green, yellow, red, and blue, the criteria and the action or priority. So if you are a SOFA score between 8 and 11, and if resources are available, they'll put you in the ICU for aggressive therapy. If resources are not are not available or exhausted, you go to level blue, and level blue is begin supportive or palliative care, either inpatient or at home. So we'll take care of you as best you can, or we'll send you home to die with your family.
Well, I hope everybody's wrong. I hope we don't need the respirators, but ventilators. But I don't know. These figures and what they're coming up with all seem to be coming true. Even their forecasts. So it's pretty scary.
All right, so let's look at this real quick, Paul. Are you seeing that on my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is from Yellowhammer News, and just to give you a shot, this is Amesworth criticizes Alabama's coronavirus prep, and I don't particularly like him, but he's the only one advocating for public health at this point. Of course, I think his message got across to the governor, which is why she did this. But if you look at these numbers right here, and you go back and think about some of the details we gave you earlier about the number of hospital beds that we have in the state, and you look at what our demand is purported to be, these are real numbers or real projections. And you see they're almost right on track. They 290 to 501. 3 more days we'll be at 800. 3 days after that we'll be at 1400. And then when it gets up to 39,000, you see you add almost 30,000 people a day to this number as we go out into the future.
Right. But the final number, being May 1, is 6,342 in the ICU, and we have 800 ventilators,
and we've got 800 available. We've got more than that, but I got a lady here in my neighborhood that's on one at the hospital, and they're talking about sending her home at the end of the week. It's just What can you say? What can you do? Um,
Right.
so let's talk about this. And it's the same logic I talked about before, Paul, when we were talking about closing the school. So you're going to wait until you get somebody that's sick in the school to close the school, and you waited 2 weeks, and now there are all kinds of people infected at the school. Same situation in my mind down here at the beach. We waited too long. So when you go down to Gulf Shores, Paul, what is the most prevalent tag you see in parking lots at restaurants besides Alabama?
Alabama, you talk about
Yeah,
uh,
Louisiana, man. I mean, this,
probably Louisiana and yeah,
yeah,
Louisiana, Mississippi.
Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, Tennessee, Georgia. They're all under stay-at-home orders. They're not coming here anyway. Did it hurt us to close the beach? Yeah, but was it going to happen anyway? Absolutely. So all we did was potentially let more people get infected down here. So Paul, I want you to talk about Lagniappe's decision about their paywall and all that stuff. Give us a rundown.
Well, the first thing is everybody knows that Lagniappe does have a paywall on the whole subscription, but they're going to have uh, CO, the virus updates under Coastal Alabama, COVID 19 in Coastal Alabama, and that'll be opened up, and every day those updates will be there. One of the things that I heard kind of disturbing about Lagniappe is they're getting bit. You can just imagine their entire advertising market just tanked completely. So, from my understanding, is they may not be pursuing the Baldwin edition and have to go back to the Mobile edition. So that's a little disconcerting. Uh, I'm also hearing that AL.com only has do what?
Sorry,
Huh?
people are trying to talk to me while I'm trying to do the podcast. Sorry.
Okay.
And when
Also,
I say people, I mean doodle.
okay. Well, AL.com, I'm understanding, is pretty short on their capital too. It would really be something if the paper went under and we didn't have Lagniappe here in Baldwin the way that we did. We would have no print media in Baldwin County, and that would just be incredible in the year 2020.
Well, tell us what we're missing. You got it. Don't you have a few articles to go over out of the
Well,
Lagniappe?
well, yes, in the Lagniappe too, any virus-related reporting will be outside the paywall during the time of the virus. But there is an open letter to the readers from Rob Holbert and Ashley Trice, and they're just pretty much expressing, their concern about the paper and what has happened, and that everybody needs to be safe, and they need help, just like the restaurants, just like anyone else. We need to keep this publication going because it's the only print media that we had over here. So, and they've been around 18 years. So really, I encourage people to try to, pick up the Lagniappe or just go ahead and pay it. It's like 21 cents a day. Uh, and coming up here, it's going to be about the only thing you got around here to read that'll keep you up on what's going on. There's a couple of other things in Lagniappe. One is related to Fairhope. That's rainy days, Gabe times, municipal budgets likely to be adjusted to account for revenue loss. Um, um, Karen Wilson saying this is the beginning. It's the low hanging fruit. And with every purchase we make, regardless of the cost, we're going to really look at these and make sure if it's something that we need right now. They've already gone back in and diced up their budget for the tune of $2.6 million in reductions. Now, I hope people in Fairhope are paying attention because that figure should sound familiar to you because it was our Catalyst City Council of Fairhope that spent $2.65 million for farmland for recreation that then they leased for $9,000 a year. So now we need the 2.6 million, and all we have is a $9,000 lease, and we're having to cut the budgets. So these are the type of decisions in your municipality where you need to be looking at your councils and seeing that they're doing their job. That recreation land, that's lost opportunity, people. That's 2.6 million we should have had in the bank. The other thing,
now it's in the Barnwell district and can't be zoned.
Well, that's pending too. And you know, along with that legislature, one thing I think we should do, Harry, is we should contact our legislators delegation in this interim and make a formal request that they bring up legislation for the Baldwin County sewer, and that those regulations, that somebody come up with some type of regulations. There's so much on this districting and so on and so forth, but no one's saying anything about that. And Mr. Elliott, this is his former partner who has now turned out to be the straw man, and everyone's looking the other way. But that's a story, another story, I guess. One of the other things, hurricane footing. Metro Jail enhances screening, releases some of the inmates in response to the COVID-19. It's by Jason Johnson. This is happening.
So Paul, let me say this. A jail is nothing but a concrete vertical cruise ship.
Right.
If you want to try to stem this pandemic, yeah, they should let the nonviolent offenders out. Put them on ankle monitor or whatever.
Well, whatever they have to do. If it's a nonviolent minor, they should get them out. You know, I keep hearing from people in Orange Beach that their jail is full down there, and most of it's from, you know, DUIs. You got guys sitting in jail there for a year, and I'm hearing they want to keep the jail full so where they can build another jail. Duh.
Yeah, I heard something similar.
Right.
We ought to keep an eye on the occupancy rates in Orange Beach Jail. Seriously, well, I'm sure that's a figure we could get.
Yeah.
Hey, did Lagniappe have an article about that UAB study?
I'm not sure if it did. I just barely had time to scan it because I had to go out and get it, and I've been trying to stay inside. I think I picked that. I'm pretty sure it does, though. Okay. I'm pretty sure it did because that's probably where I picked it up. I didn't get the details on the study, but it is.
Well, I'm trying to keep this short because I don't think we could go into that, but let's keep moving. You got another Lagniappe for us?
I got one other. It's a viral campaign, Super PAC hand delivered Hightower ads during the COVID-19 pandemic by Jason Johnson. This was really,
Paul, this is hilarious.
I know this is just this is just too crazy. This is that Club for Growth PAC that is backing the Catalyst.
And the guy, let me say this, Paul, the guy in the picture looks like he rode over there on one of those big tricycles with the damn red flag on the back.
Yeah, well, there was more than one. There was several people in town, as the article says. There were several people in town going door to door, knocking on doors with Hightower advertising. And the thing that the people that were answering the door were pretty upset that anybody was even doing that. And when Hightower's campaign was contacted, he said, well, they had no control over that, and there was nothing that they could do about it. It was people out of Washington, D.C. that sent them down here.
Thanks, Swampers.
Yeah, and then later in there again, he says again where he has no control over it. Well, I mean, he's running for Congress here. If he has no control over his campaign, I'm not going to have too much faith in that. But and Jerry Carl, the opposing candidate, who certainly we hope is going to win as non-catalyst. Carl previously called on Hightower and groups supporting him to suspend their paid advertising as officials on all levels of government during the time of the pandemic, and Hightower's team refused to do so. So Hightower's out campaigning, and Jerry Carl's over in Mobile, busting his butt for his constituents over this virus. So I hope people will pay attention. This is a big campaign. This is something that we do not want to slip into the catalyst's hands. Jerry Carl's got a very, very good record.
And he's president of the Mobile County Commission right now too.
Correct. And he's also sits on one of the health boards, and immediately last week suspended his campaign and went to work over there for his constituents. And that's what we need. That's what we need right there. These type of stunts here with Club of Growth, that goes right along with what you're going to hear about Catalyst. So if you see it's a Catalyst candidate, you better be paying attention, because that's not going to do you any good. This is Washington telling you people how to vote. So
hey Paul, let me show you one more little graph, okay?
All right.
Say I am. Dadgummit. Let me see if I can find it. I think I minimized it and hid it from myself. Go on to another one.
Okay, well, the one thing I wanted to say before we got any further towards the end here, Harry, is that I don't know how you could possibly thank all the first responders, nurses and people in hospitals, everybody that's having to work under this type of stress. Yesterday, I got a call from the Birmingham Veterans Hospital, where they know me on a first name basis. I've been going there so long. And they said that if I was doing okay and my shoulders were okay, don't come in. Don't come to the hospital. Stay away. And they were trying to do the best for the patients. And I'm thinking, here this nurse or administrator is calling me, who is in the hospital, having to work with this, and advising me to stay away. So
10-4.
I can't just can't say that I have any more respect for anybody than the first responders in the medical field. However, you also have your municipal staff in your city, whichever city you're in. They're having to keep the wheels rolling. The mayors are having to work overtime. So I hope people understand how trying this is. And you can see with Fairhope, just a small community like Fairhope, they immediately had to cough up like 2.6 million just to right the ship. So people need to be patient, and they need to pay attention, and hopefully Alabama's going to get on the bandwagon for this testing.
All right, so I got it now. Let me see if I can work this magic here. So this is the length of the Are you seeing this? The length of the intervention in days.
Yes, and that's very interesting too.
So from today going forward, if we went out another few days,
what date would that be?
Well, it looks like April. That looks like May, June. Right? May, June. So if we just went to like June, that's what the numbers are going to look like. Now, of course, this is all in a program, and you don't know how true it is, but that looks freaking terrifying right there, right? Over 30 million people infected in the U.S., 10 million hospitalized, and I don't know how accurate this little death toll is down here, but that's people hospitalized and they recover if we have enough equipment.
Well, look, I hope that we're all wrong. I hope the data is wrong, but I don't think that we should be ignoring it. And the social distancing is very, very important. I hope people will participate, and particularly those that are senior and got grandkids. I know you want to grab that grandkid, but, you know, hold off for just a little while.
So there's I guess that's the worldwide numbers. Are you seeing those?
Right.
With the U.S. overtook China. You like that?
Right.
365 in New York.
You know, that's one of the other things, too. I've heard people spinning conspiracy theories about this is something to do with trying to remove Trump from office. people need to understand this is international. This is around the world.
So here's our closest neighbor, Paul, with high death rates. New Orleans. So we're right here,
Right.
and here's New Orleans, Louisiana, and they have 57 deaths so far.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, the Mardi Gras thing would act, actually you just can't see how that would not make it explode at that time without anybody even knowing at that time it was that bad.
Well, it's bad, and you know, I sure am glad you made the right call and decided not to go to Thailand. Can you
Yeah,
imagine
Japan,
that?
yeah, Japan, Vietnam, and Thailand. Kind of bad timing there. Maybe I'll put that off for about a year or go somewhere else.
All right, and we both agree that testing is the answer. It's the only way to know. We got to test people who are sick.
Right, right, and uh, keep the social distancing up. Uh, this next 2 or 3 weeks is going to be very, very important.
So, Paul, I need to talk to people about alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. I don't know if you can see my corner over here, but
Yeah,
alcohol. Don't buy Pappy Van Winkle. Go buy you some Early Times. It's $15 a bottle instead of $125 a bottle. It's my favorite cheap bourbon. Beside Old Forester is about $2 more, so I might spring for that. But yeah, Early Times, Old Forester. I mean, you know, hell, it's an apocalypse or whatever. You know, do what you can.
well, a lot of people might not know this, but early times that used to be the military drink. I mean, that was the bourbon you got was early times. That's the first bourbon I think I ever saw in a bottle that I remember.
Well, that's what Ed Bryant drank, and he was in World War II in the Pacific Theater. He's the one that got me started on it when I was before I was 21. Let's put it that way. So tobacco. I wish Rains was on here because I have snus and Copenhagen wintergreen, just any kind of tobacco delivery system other than smoking or vaping. Because
So
those seem to be, sir.
you think that's better?
Well, if you're addicted to nicotine, yeah. Or if you can't, you gonna go to the CVS and get you some patches, or you gonna run by the little store here and get you some little snus thing. That's what I do. So then on to the firearms. You need to, you know, make sure you got adequate ammo. And when I say adequate ammo, I don't just mean for home defense. I have some things that I might go out and take some game that's in season. Hogs, turkey, that kind of thing. And
I'm gonna go get mine at Publix.
well, so long as Publix is open.
Right.
I'm not trying to be alarmist or whatever, but I got some time on my hands like everybody else. So I live in this neighborhood, and it's on a lake. And when they dug the lake out, I think all they did was just push all the spoilage up here onto what became residential lots. So I'm sitting on hard pan clay, and I can't till it or grow anything in my yard. So I'm using the Kratky method, Dr. Kratky, KRA. Anyway, YouTube it. It's the only method that it's hydroponic, and you don't have to recirculate water or anything. You put it in you put all of the nutrients and water into one container and plant it, and you don't ever mess with that the water filled nutrients again. As it drinks the water down, it creates an air pocket, and some of the roots can breathe, and some of them consume. And I'll be keeping up. I'll keep you guys posted on that and share some pictures or whatever. Oh, I want to talk about just a go into town bag. Do you have a go into town bag, Paul?
Going to town bag?
Well, you've got a Suburban that I'm pretty sure is like the bottom of an old woman's purse. That just about anything you wanted, you could find in that Suburban, right?
Every tool's in the back.
Okay, so I don't have the luxury of having. Well, I do. I mean, I have a pickup truck also, but I never know which vehicle I'm taking. So I got a little bag, and it's got some things in it like you really don't need the Bussy Combat Team Gemini Light Brigade, the Daryl knife from The Walking Dead. But if you got some cash laying around, might as well get one. Got a little compass, altimeter, barometer, watch strapped to my little backpack. Most important thing in these times is an N95 mask and some little gloves. And of course, I got hand sanitizer. And this isn't just, I didn't just do this for this podcast. I mean, you can tell that toilet paper has been in this bag for a while. And then several pairs of, work gloves, heavy gloves, in case you got to pick something up, something with some knuckle busters on it, like some mechanic gloves.
Well, that toilet paper is valuable, man.
It is now. I bet Raines wishes he had some. Little stuff like this. I got you. You always need to carry a pen because you'd be surprised how many times you need to leave people. Might need to leave somebody a note or something. And anyway, I got some crazy stuff in here, like you can turn this little light on into the strobe and you can put it on you. I mean, this is this is my hunting bag too. I've got this little Luminade emergency light that you blow up.
Yeah.
And it's got a solar panel on it. And anyway, it makes like a little lantern. You can hang it in your tent. You can do whatever with it. Just, little survival stuff I picked up here and there along the way.
Hopefully you won't have to use your survival kit.
No, of course not. But
I have one, but it's
not going to be because Harry doesn't have one.
Yeah, I got a scuba bag that's like that. It's got all my international scuba bag. Got a ton of little Mickey Mouse stuff in there that always comes in handy when you get down there, And
just for the record,
how about you?
Oh yeah, just for the record, I bought this knife before that show became popular, and it's worth about 50 times what I paid for it. But I'll never get rid of it.
All right.
At least I hope not. All right, Paul. Well, that about does it for me. Do you have any more words of wisdom for our listeners besides stay your butt at home?
No, we'll be with you next week. And
or maybe sooner.
Right. Yeah. Or maybe sooner too. Catch us on the ripreport.com, or you could go to our Facebook pages, Rip Report or Baldwin County Legal. And of course, we want you to share and bring people in on the podcast as well. And we'll try to keep you up next week on what's going on.
All right, Paul. Well, I will talk to you later. Have a good one, man.
All right,
everybody stay safe.
You got it.